What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I'm Eric, Mr. Cincinnati Robinson, and as always, I'm joined by the podcast dad himself, Chris Hoops. How you doing, Choops?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. But it is time to do what we love to do. That is talk to an actual real life wrestler. So don't let me talk too much. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. Our next guest is an internationally traveled competitor who has competed here in the United States as well as Germany and more. He is the current Creative Pro Wrestling Champion and the current Chaotic Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. He is the Dime Piece, Aaron Rourke. Aaron, how are you?
I am good. Thank you guys for having me. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. Give
If there's one
myself a
thing that
little
we
pat on the back.
as you should. I mean, if there's one thing that we want people to do is to pat on their backs, clap for them for their damn selves while they're here, and just having some fun with it. So we appreciate you. There you go. I'm loving the vibe already. I am. So
Eric,
Aaron,
before we start, hold on.
Yes.
Before we start, I am an eagle-eyed, observer here. And do you have the greatest gaming console back there in a GameCube?
I have two of them.
Oh my
They're,
god!
yep, I have a GameCube and a PlayStation 2 right there.
Wow. Okay. I know those ports. I remember playing the old
Yeah.
wrestling video games on there. I had to shout it out. Eric, sorry, the nerd came out,
No, that's
so I'll
fine.
let you go.
Well, I mean, come on. You know that's a perfect dovetail into the first question that we always ask every guest on this show. Here at the Wrestling Junkies podcast, we believe that wrestlers are superheroes, and every superhero has an origin story. So, Aaron, tell us about some of your earliest memories of professional wrestling.
I love that it's a superhero origin story. I don't think I've ever been anyone's hero, more of like their villain. But my early wrestling memories, I started watching when I was really young. I think like most of us, but it was like the year 2000 when I first started
Yeah.
wrestling. Not wrestling, watching wrestling. My first match I ever saw was the Armageddon 6-man Hell in a Cell match.
Classic.
That's a classic.
Yes, the image of Rikishi getting thrown off the cage into a bed of wood chips still lives rent free in my brain.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yes. That's. Oh man, yes, that's a great match. That's a great match. I'm running through it in my head right now. But how do you balance your personal life and kind of that personal identity and expression with your in ring persona?
Um, Personal life, don't know her, never met her. I mean, it's a tricky balance, you know. Wrestling takes up a large part of your life and time, and I think it's just one of those things where you have to be okay with that sacrifice. I
Yeah.
do try. I mean, I work a normal job, obviously outside of wrestling, so that's basically my personal life. But it's a big grind of just work, gym, train, wrestle, travel, repeat. So
Yeah.
personal life, you know, we're like distant acquaintances.
That's fair. That's fair. Um, One thing that I definitely noticed when we first connected and started talking about having you join our show is your in ring gear, the drip, I should say, that you have, and the way it has evolved over the course of your career. Um, where do you draw influences for your looks?
Um, that's a really good question. I think I always have to put myself in my character's shoes or my gimmick or persona shoes. Because me outside of wrestling is not that. I very much enjoy sweatpants and sweatshirts and flip flops, and I prefer comfort over fashion. But when it comes to Aaron Rourke, you know, he's glitzy, he's glamour, he's edgy, he's high fashion, he's just very into being the center of attention. So if I see something with a rhinestone or a sequin on it, you best believe it's in my closet.
So let's talk more about the in ring. Where did some of your like favorites growing up? How have they influenced your style in the ring?
So I think for me it's a little different. I think most wrestling fans grow up watching a lot of men's wrestling. I grew up watching a lot of women's wrestling. Um, just because to me it was always such a spectacle. And when you got to see people like Trish and Lita do like what they could do, or even like people like Beth Phoenix or Nikki Bella, or like these early iterations of women, even going back to like China and Molly Holly and all that, it was always super fun to watch them do stuff that you probably didn't think they could do. So I take a lot of inspiration from women, and I think you can see that in a lot of like my mannerisms and my move set. It's very flashy, it's very flamboyant, it's very pretty. I was also a dancer for a long time, so Stacy Keebler, that big spinning kick, that
Yeah,
was like my finisher in every video game growing up. I was like, I could
love
definitely
it.
do that. But growing up, I also loved Randy Orton, and I loved his smugness. I loved his arrogance. I loved that he could go to the ring and not say anything, and it's just all right here in his face. So I love that. And then I loved RVD growing up. He was just, to me, he was a real life superhero. Like in his entrance video when he's doing the split, like, and
Yeah,
he's just like meditating, I was like, I want to do that one day. I want to be able to sit there in a split and just look so cool. I can't do that, but
it's okay. We can't
but
either.
we can
Neither can
dream.
I. Yeah.
We can dream.
No, it's a common theme that we've been running
Yeah.
into is a lot of RVD fans growing up. And hey, I love RVD
Mhm.
and he's still out there doing it. So it's crazy.
It's insane to me because at 28 years old right now, I feel like I'm going on 82, and I feel like awful. But when I see him still doing it, I'm like, I have nothing to complain about. This man's been
Yeah,
doing it for decades. So I
Yeah.
gotta just suck it up.
It's crazy.
yeah,
Crazy. Um,
absolutely. So
Go ahead, Eric.
you, yeah. So you also refer to yourself as the evil gay. You've already said that you're a villain. Um, let's take away the character for a second. Let's focus on the business side of it and breaking into the business, or not necessarily breaking in, but the inclusivity that we want to see in 2024. What advice would you have for wrestling promoters and/or organizers that want to create a more inclusive environment for LGBTQ wrestlers?
Wow, these are like some really good questions right off the bat. It's actually making me really think. I just think we have to understand that in this day and age, while LGBTQ characters are perceived as fun and more of like a sidekick or more of like your gay best friend, or I just think in today's day and age, we have to stop looking at the stereotypes and realize that just because this person happens to be in that community, that isn't all they are. It's an aspect of them that should be highlighted and showcased, but it's not all they bring to the ring. I mean, yes, like for me, example, I'm very gay, if you couldn't tell. Very, very gay. But that's not my only thing. I'm flashy, I'm athletic, I'm confident, I'm pompous. Like if you just take the gay away out of it, it's still a very rude,
Sure.
pompous, arrogant character. I just also happen to be gay, and I think that makes it better. So I think
Yeah.
promoters and wrestlers need to realize that there's so much this community can offer, and there's such a platform for us, and there's such a community waiting to see people like us on TV and in main event spots and showcase more. And I think people just need to stop being so afraid of how they present it and just let the wrestler present it themselves.
Sure. Very well
Yeah.
said. Very well said.
Yeah, yeah, wonderfully said. And I think that's something that through all these interviews, Eric and I have like seen just a crazy amount of LGBTQ community out there. Just how many wrestlers there are, and how talented so many of them are. It's just it's crazy to even think about that. Now we look at it and it's like wrestling's just wrestling, and that's how we need to look at it moving forward. But the amount of talent out there is just nuts.
Yeah.
Speaking of talent, yesterday, as crazy as that is, yesterday you competed in a star-studded 10-man tag with Eric Young, Brian Myers. It isn't available streaming quite yet, but we'll get there. Can you give us a scoop on how this opportunity came about working with Impact and slash TNA wrestling mainstays?
I mean, it helps that Brian is my trainer. It
Oh, wow,
helps.
perfect.
Okay.
I do come from Creative Pro Wrestling Academy, so Brian Myers, Pat Buck are my trainers. Those are my dads. I love them. But yeah, I think I got put in that match because you need stars. I mean, the show was called Top Guys Only. Are you going to have a Top Guys Only match without the dime piece? Like, I mean, I think it kind of speaks for itself. I mean, if I wasn't in there, I think more people would be like, then who do we care about in this match? And I'd be like,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's fair. That's fair.
But it's again like it's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm always super grateful that I get to be in the ring and learn from people like Eric Young. Like if you asked me 4 years ago or however many years ago if I would be ever sharing the ring with Eric Young, I would be like, I don't think so, but like we can hope. But things just happen, and I was very grateful to be put in that match and have that moment and have that time with Eric Young and Brian. And I'm always just really thankful that people see me and trust me and want me to be in big, high-profile match situations.
That's great. I mean, and I mean, not only this, but another fantastic match you had. You recently got to compete in a strap match. Hopefully, I'm saying his name right. Bajo Mecca.
It's the Mecca.
The Mecca.
His name is Brian Johnson.
Okay, all right. Yeah, hey, all right. I'll say that again. You competed against Brian Johnson in a strap match. So, what are some challenges that come with that particular style of match compared to your traditional one-on-one match or a tag team match, much like you competed in a couple days ago?
I mean, for one thing, you are working with a strap. So that strap is long. It's about the length of the ring going diagonally. And Chaotic does not have a tiny ring. Chaotic has a very large ring, and it's cumbersome and it's annoying and it's difficult to move around. You got to work with it, against it, like. And if you watch the match, like it comes undone, and it's like you got to stay attached to it. So you're trying to gain some offense, but you're always wondering about what's happening with the strap. And I mean, when someone goes to use it on you, you kind of just got to be ready for it, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, I love these kind of matches that are different and that people don't typically get to see. And that's just another match that I'm very grateful I got to do and be a part of. It's the first one I think Chaotic has ever had. So just call me a history maker.
There you go. Are there any other match types that are on your bucket list for 2024 that you haven't experienced yet?
Like a steel cage I would do. I'll do a steel cage. I've done like weapons matches. I'm not gonna do a dime match. I don't think the dime piece would thrive in that arena, even though he likes to get a little vindictive and crazy, and he definitely has a sadistic side. But I'd have to get some like real convincing to do that. But I would love to do like a steel cage. Honestly, I'm down for anything. I'm like, just let me wrestle. I'll do whatever.
I like it.
Nice. This weekend, you will be taking on Brad Hollister at Beyond Wrestling Kick. Any final words for Brad before the big showdown?
I hope he's just ready to get kicked in the face. I hope he's ready to have a size 11.5 boot under his jaw or across his face, because the show is called Kick, so I'm going to do just that. I'm going to kick him in the face and kick his ass and prove that he may be Wrestling Open champion now, but for how long? We shall see.
Okay.
I mean, you are collecting belts left and right, so I mean, you're on a hot streak right now.
Do you have any of the belts?
I do. I have my Chaotic one right here.
There we go. Look at that.
The cap one is over there. She's sitting nicely over there. But I have this one on deck.
Look at that. Yeah, we always like to see gold on the Wrestling Junkies podcast.
We do.
That's a big belt.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, no, I like it. Love the design. So we have been talking all things dime piece for about 15 minutes now. Now we want to turn the spotlight on the rest of the industry. Who are some names that we should be on the lookout for in 2024?
So, I mean, I'm going to be biased because they're my friends. I think everyone should always be watching Shook Crew, Bobby Orlando, Bryce Donovan. I think they are two of the best wrestlers on the indies today. I think if you're looking for people who have the full package, who can give you something to laugh about, give you something to be invested in, give you something to watch and want to continue watching, definitely them. TJ Crawford, of course. I mean, that man is
Yeah,
just
big fan.
so talented. Just can't say enough good things about him. Shannon Levangie from New England area, she's amazing. She's still so young, but God, she's so talented. I mean, there's tons of people. Paris Van Dale, Zeta Steele. I've gotten to see her work recently, and she's incredible. Um, Even though I'm wrestling him in a week and I'm gonna beat him, but Brad Hollister, another great wrestler, another guy who you can really get invested in and watch and really enjoy what you're seeing. From Cap specifically, we got new kids like Nick Robles, our little rock star, who's getting out there and finding his footing, and he's doing amazing. Dante Drago, who just started to pick up and really make a name for himself. I mean, there's tons of people to watch. It's so hard to narrow it down because I want to be like, you should watch everyone because everyone's so talented. But there are many talented people out there, and I just only named a few.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's in the name. We're wrestling junkies. I mean, if it's happening in a 20 foot by 20 foot approximately size space, then we're probably going to have some interest in seeing who's working right now. So, yeah, no, it's always great to hear more names of people that we should be checking out. I mean, wrestling's hotter than ever right now, and I mean, I think it's only going to get better from here. This is just the beginning of this boom period. So, we want to be on the ground floor and making sure that we're watching everything we can.
Yeah. Also, Gabby Forza. Gotta watch her. She's had an impressive first year. I don't even think she's a year in yet, but an impressive first year. I mean, she's a monster. A monster.
Love that.
In a good way. In a good way.
In a great way. In a fantastic way. But like a monster.
So we have an ongoing debate here on the Wrestling Junkies podcast that we ask every guest.
Yep.
Okay.
When you think Mr. WrestleMania, is it Shawn Michaels or is it The Undertaker? No pressure.
Oh my God. I feel like this is like the hardest decision of my life. I feel like I gotta go with Undertaker, man. I just
Okay.
like listen. I love HBK. I started calling myself HB Gay because like I think it's great. I love it. But when I think of WrestleMania, I just always think of the undefeated streak. I mean, I grew up like when it was like in its prime and it was building and building and building, and it was like when you watched WrestleMania, you knew the Undertaker was on there, and you knew he was gonna have to defend his streak. So it was like you just waited for that Undertaker match. So I guess I gotta give it to the Undertaker.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Chalk one up for the podcast, Dad. Here we go.
Yeah, that streak hasn't been so hot for the podcast, Dad, when we asked this question as of late. So
it's okay.
I'm gonna let him have
Got
this
you,
one.
man.
It's all right. The real one's like the Undertaker. It's fine. I get it. Before Eric asks this next question, I have to ask, what's the go-to GameCube game?
Mario Kart Double Dash.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's tattooed on me, so it has to be.
Oh, nice. Okay. Awesome. I'm more of a Super Smash Brothers guy, but hey, I'm not mad at the Mario Kart.
My third was going to be Super Smash Brothers. My second is Wind Waker, Legend of Zelda.
Okay. All right. See, you're naming some really good ones. Okay. Eric, sorry again. I had to nerd out a little bit.
No,
I apologize.
That's okay. I mean, come on. That we are all nerds in some way, especially when it comes to whether it's video games, whether it's wrestling. Like that, they're all all under the same umbrella. Yeah.
Yep.
But Aaron, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. We really enjoyed it. We've talked about a couple of them, but what other events do you have coming up February and March, and where can everybody find you on social media?
So next week I will be wrestling Brad Hollister at Beyond Wrestling Presents Kick, and I believe that is Saturday. No, it's Sunday. Saturday I will be at Blitz Creek wrestling in a #1 contendership match against Ichiban, Sammy Diaz, and Kira. So I got my work cut out for me. And then Friday, I will be wrestling at Chaotic Wrestling, and I believe I will be wrestling. This might be like an inside scoop. Richard Holiday. So
Ooh, okay.
I got my work cut out for me these next couple of days, and just check my socials, Instagram and Twitter, both the same, Perfect Aaron One. I'll be wrestling a crap ton in March. I got big things coming up, so you better just watch me.
Oh, we absolutely will. Thank you once again so much for joining us, and best of luck with everything you've got coming up. And definitely gonna have to have you back on the show to talk all about it.
Yes, thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure.
Wonderful. Well, for the dime piece, Aaron Rourke, and the podcast Adam, Mr. Cincinnati, this has been a special edition of the Wrestling Junkies podcast. We'll talk to you all soon.